Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Whitley and today we're going to talk about journaling for self-reflection. I believe journaling for self-reflection is similar to traditional journaling in that you're writing down your experiences, your thoughts. However, with reflection, journaling for self-reflection, you're coming primarily from a more focused, intentional, and purpose-driven standpoint. The overall goal is to gain insight and awareness about who you are as a person, about decisions you've made in the past, the impact of those decisions, and how through a process of self-analysis using journaling prompts that will act as a guide, lead to that point of true introspection. You're able to improve your life decisions and overall understand your patterns of thought, your patterns of behavior. And by doing so, the overall goal is to come out transformative, transforming your thought process, understanding your emotions, understanding what was the driving force behind your decisions, and if they've been beneficial, you keep them. If they have not, then you upgrade and you try something different. I believe journaling for self-reflection is one of the most important things a person can do when they're on the path of personal development. I believe wholeheartedly that growth and expansion are fundamental factors of life. If you're not growing and expanding, you are then in a sense inviting entropy, which is the opposite of that, which is a form of decay, because you will continuously repeat your past experiences. You will continue to respond to things in a certain way and therefore get the same results, which can ultimately lead to a life of extreme dissatisfaction, lack of fulfillment, and overall just not being happy. It is a powerful tool to be able to reflect on one's life, to reflect on decisions made, and to reflect and take stock of how certain experiences have impacted you, how people in your life, the kind of impact that they have in your life, whether it's positive or negative, and seeing if you want to continue to have certain people in your life. You can also, through self-reflection journaling, get to know yourself in a way that you never have before. On this process of introspection, they say we only operate in a conscious mind about 5% of the time. The rest is subconscious, which means that we're not as aware of ourselves as we think we are. Taking this time to set it aside, and I think it's a time of dedicated time you should set aside to really go on this journey within, to introspect about who you are and what you value, and living from a place of your core values so that you can remain in alignment with your ultimate vision and goals and design for your life, because we have way more control and power over our lives than we like to admit sometimes. The way that we have control over ourselves is we decide the kind of habits we have, we decide the type of goals that we want, we decide our attitude about how people and experiences have impacted us, and if we want to continue to live in certain stories that we're telling. We're allowing ourselves to analyze certain assumptions, to analyze our own knowledge about things by taking the time to sit there and reflect what is going on within ourselves. Way too often I've heard people not be able to explain how they're feeling about things. Way too often I've heard people not have the ability to explain the impact that situations have had on them and have continued to have on them. And the point is, they've never taken the time to sit down and really assess for themselves and analyze to the most intimate caliber that they could how their life is going, how people in their lives have impacted them. By journaling for self-reflection, you have the time to explore your core values. You get to dig deep into your core values. You can write down, I always recommend starting with 5 values that you really want to show up in, whether it be for the next 3 months, for the next month. And by showing up in these values, you can see and assess almost like a little scientist. And you're kind of doing a hypothesis of how living in alignment with these core values, the certain decisions that you make that are in alignment with these core values, you get to see the outcome. You get to see the impact that it has on your overall life. And let's be clear, reflecting on why these values resonate with you is also very important. And by reflecting on that, you can align your actions to these values, because we want our core values to be our compass for the way in which we live our life. It's a way to navigate life's journey. A few journaling prompts that I like to really focus on in areas are gratitude journaling, reflecting on what I'm grateful for in my life and why I'm grateful for it, and jotting down like 3 things that really I'm grateful for the day, for the month, for the year. It really helps me focus on the positive of what's going right in my life. The second journal prompt that I really focus on is future exploration, self-exploration. And what I like to focus on is, what does my ideal life look like? And if I've achieved it in the past and the goalpost moves, then what does it look like in a month, 3 months, a year? How do I want to spend my days? Who am I surrounded by? It's painting a vivid picture of what my ideal life would look like in my journal. Another journaling prompt or area of journaling for self-reflection that I think is really important is learning how to embrace failure. Failure is a natural part of life, and I think you only fail when you actually try for something. There are a lot of people who are not trying for things out here, and so they remain in a constant state of just day by day doing the same thing. There's no growing, there's no expanding. And reflecting on how failure has played a role in your life really is essential, because it will, if you ask yourself certain questions like, what did you learn from this failure? What is it attempting to teach you? What gold can you extract from this lesson? How can you use that experience as a stepping stone for growth and success in the future? How did it teach you to become resilient in that aspect of life? Another journaling prompt that I like to focus on is overcoming fears. We all have fears that hold us back. It's a natural part of life, but learning to identify certain fears in regards to why you won't move ahead, why you won't make certain decisions and choices, and reflecting on where these fears stem from, what is the actual reason behind being fearful of something, and also focusing on possible ways to overcome it is a great way to reflect in your life. Remember that stepping out of your comfort zone is where a lot of magic happens in life. So if we can at least be aware of what we fear and why we fear it, I think that when we make a decision next time in regards to something that we fear, by having this insight and this awareness, we can choose to take a moment and act in accordance of, let's say, your core value. One core value that you've chosen to value this time is act in accordance of bravery or courage. I fear this thing, but I'm going to step out and be courageous, and I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to try to go for this thing no matter how afraid I am, because the true fear is that I really fear not trying at all. That to me is way more scary than trying. That is a greater fear. And sometimes having fears can be a beautiful thing, like the fear of not trying something, the fear of not knowing, the fear of knowing that you didn't give your all, and that you could have done a little bit more and given a little bit more, but you chose not to out of fear of being seen, of being known, of being judged, of people saying things about you. Again, what I've just said. And I think the greatest fear is that we're more afraid of our own shine than we are of our own inadequacies. Another beautiful thing, or another powerful thing in regards to reflection, is that we're able to see where we can learn and grow and develop more, where our skill sets are lacking and where can we improve them. What steps do we need to take? How do we position ourselves to get in alignment with those steps? Is there something that I have in my environment right now that can help me onto the path that I am aiming for. Let's say, what else? Overall, the importance of self-reflection is to gain clarity, is to gain understanding about making better decisions in your life, better choices in your life, and improving your overall well-being. It's like processing the impact of events in your life and then making a choice that you won't allow this to happen again, or that despite something happening, it taught you this lesson, and then you could take that in your toolkit and then move forward through life. And you can either be a guide for someone at another point, or you could learn to identify things that are not good for you and stay away from them. Let's see. I encourage you to explore significant past experiences and their impact on you. Some of this can be really triggering for a lot of people because it's hard to face things when they've happened to you. It's hard to sit there and live in the reality of your felt experience. Meaning, when you reassess how the impact of something that has happened to you, when you have to sit there and move through certain tough emotions, which is your felt experience, your feeling experience of something, and you don't know how to guide yourself through it, which I've learned to find the words. I've discovered words that gave context to the experience. I was better able to understand the situation and myself by increasing my vocabulary and the skill set of being able to truly identify and name a thing and what the effect that it was having on me, and allowing myself to really process the emotion and not avoid it. I was able to work through this situation quicker. Reflecting on significant past experiences and letting yourself move through that emotional felt experience and understanding there is another side that you can get out on, and that by moving through that felt experience, you can gain a certain sense of peace by knowing how it affected you, and then choosing to not allow it to affect you any longer.